Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing a video that I'm very excited about personally. We're going to be playing with the JACLYN Hill Master Brush Collection. Now I know it's been a little bit of time since JACLYN Hill released these brushes, and she even released her own makeup line, but I feel like there's still a lot of buzz around these brushes because in my opinion, I feel they're very good quality. I wanted to do this video on this particular brush collection because I don't feel like there was a lot of reviews or videos around how to use these brushes. I feel like people just got these brushes and kind of just put them into their already existing collection and kind of just forgot about it. But I want to go in depth and show you how to use all 24 brushes in the kit. With that being said, let's get started. So I have this set here. As you can see, it is a glitter box case with JACLYN Hill as a sleeve. And what you do is we're going to remove the sleeve, and in the back, it actually shows information on all the different brushes. Shows JACLYN right there, so you can see. So then we get into the pretty sparkly case. Now, this was my favorite aspect of the whole collection. Besides, the smaller brush collections also had a glitter bag, but this is what I was excited about. So you open it up. Let me see if I can do this without dropping all of them. So you open it up and it has all the brushes in here. They actually come in a plastic wrap, but I took them all out and already washed, well, I cleaned them with some brush cleaner. When you get new brushes, I feel like you should always give them a little spritz of some brush cleaner, kind of wipe them on a paper towel before you use them. That's just my opinion. You don't want to be using, you know, brushes that have been sitting in a warehouse for a long time. They could collect dust, but these are them. So in the set, you get 24 brushes, which I feel is a lot of brushes. You get everything from JACLYN Hill 01 to JACLYN Hill 43. Now, I don't feel like that is in any kind of order whatsoever since it only is the 24 brush collection. But I will be going through each one, hopefully, because then we get to the eye brushes, and there's a lot of eye brushes in this set, which I feel like if you watched her initial video on this, which I will link down below, you will hear her talk about why she had so many brushes in it. And I feel like for, you know, if you're not like a working makeup artist or you don't have makeup as a career, then a lot of these brushes can be overwhelming, which is why I wanted to make this video to show you that, you know, the average person can just use all these brushes and use them effectively. Because I feel like that's what happens with most brush sets, is that you get all these brushes and you don't end up using a lot of them. So I feel like we can change that. So I'm going to start off, of course, with foundation. I need a little bit of primer first. So I'm going to go into the brand new All Nighter Primer by Urban Decay. I'm going to take a couple pumps of that and apply that to the face. So this primer is supposed to be a long wear foundation grip, prep, smooths, and perfects. It definitely feels really good on the face, so now let's put some foundation on. For foundation, I'm going to go into my Becca Ultimate Coverage Foundation, and I feel like this might be a little light for me at the moment, so I'm going to mix it in with a little bit of my LA Girl Pro Matte. I feel like this will be a good match together. So I don't have my mixing plate with me, so I'm just going to take it on the back of my hand. So I'm going to do one pump of the Becca and one pump of the LA Girl. And then we're going to dip into the first brush of the collection, which is the JACLYN Hill 03 brush. So this is just a big fluffy foundation brush. Of course, this is going to be used to buff and stipple foundation. Now, here's the thing though. When I first went into this, just mixing them together. When I first went into this video, I know JACLYN Hill doesn't use a brush for her foundation. She uses the Morphe sponge. But for the sake of the video, we're going to use the brush here. So I just mixed it together and I'm just going to these two mixed together is actually a pretty good color match for me. So this brush, according to JACLYN, this is called the Ride or Die Foundation Brush. So we're just going to go in and start blending and buffing. So of course with foundation brushes you want to stipple. So you're going to press it into the skin and that's how you're going to get the most coverage. Since the size of this brush is a lot bigger, it is blending out my foundation super easily and super quickly. Just like that, the foundation is completely blended and pressed into the skin. I do have a lot left over, which will happen whenever you use a brush. You're gonna end up using less product than you would with a sponge, so I'm not too mad about it. Oh, this is a really good color match for me. So I'm actually gonna just take the excess and just run that down my neck at the ear. Alright, our foundation is fully blended. Next we're going to go into concealer. For concealer I'm going to use the e.l.f. 16 Hour Camo Concealer in the shade Tan Sand. And I'm just going to apply that of course to my under eye. I've actually never used this concealer before, but I've heard a lot of good things about it. Of course, this is supposed to be the dupe to Shape Tape, so we'll see about that. Definitely has the same consistency as Shape Tape. Now we're going to go into the JACLYN Hill JH08 brush, which is this small little concealer brush. This is called the Anything Creamy brush. So I'm guessing JACLYN also kind of made this for concealer. Just going to go in and buff this out. Now again, I might have used too much of the concealer since the brush is not going to, of course, absorb it like a sponge would. But I'm just going to drag that down and out so we can get that nice highlighted effect. Oh yeah. That's pretty. Wow, this is a really good concealer. There's just like full coverage. Gotta make sure and blend this part, unlike in my other video where I completely left it unblended for half the video. Don't want to do that again. So I'm guessing JACLYN made this brush for concealer, maybe even cream contour. The good thing about brushes is, you know, you can use brushes for anything. You don't necessarily have to follow what it says, which is the best part about makeup. Maybe I love that. Love this concealer. It just like really erased everything. This is called the Anything Cream brush. I am going to take a little bit of cream contour and kind of just warm up the face a little bit. Just to fully test out the brush's potential. So as you can see here, I just drew on a little bit of cream contour. Not super dark. But I'm just going to go in and blend that out. Boom, cream contour. For the cream contour, I used the Clinique Chubby in the Nude foundation stick in the shade Gargantuan Golden. Worked perfectly for a cream contour. Now that we are fully concealed and highlighted, I need some powder. I'm going to go in and grab the JACLYN Hill 7 brush, JH07, which is the under eye powder brush. Very original. And just like it says, it's just an under eye powder brush. So I'm going to grab my Fenty Beauty loose powder in the shade Banana. And I'm going to... So I already have a lot here. So I'm just going to grab some powder. Before I do that, I need to go in and blend out any creases that I inevitably do have. Yay me. Then we're going to just press. So one thing about using a brush for powder is, as you can see, it gets everywhere. I like to use a damp sponge for powder, but this is kind of how you would use it. Again, I just dipped into my Fenty Beauty powder again, and I'm just going to press that under the eye. Yeah, that just like gets everywhere. Really good powder. I do love this powder, but see, I would not do it this way. The way I would use this brush is if I was baking with my sponge, I would just take this brush and kind of, you know, brush off the bake. But for the sake of the video, we're going to do it this way. That looks really pretty. I'm going to just grab a little bit of powder so I can bake with it. So I'm going to stamp it under the eye. Okay, so we're baking. Since we're baking, that leads me to my next brush, which is the JACLYN Hill 10 brush, which is called the Snatch Your Edges brush. Now I know the way JACLYN Hill suggests to use this is to dip into your loose powder and take it down the bridge of your nose, like that. I love the way this Fenty Beauty powder smells. It smells like, I don't know, like creme brulee or like vanilla. So good. I'm also going to take that brush and kind of just stamp on the sides here. This will make nose contouring so much easier later on. While I'm baking the under eye, I'm going to set the rest of my face. Now here's the thing though. We did use this for a foundation earlier, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab a cloth and kind of wipe off the excess. I would use this for like my compact foundation brush, like so I can just really go in there and grab the powder and really be able to stamp it into the skin. That's what I would personally use this brush for. While we're baking, let's go into some bronzer. For bronzer, I'm going to be using the Anastasia Beverly Hills bronzer in Rich Amber, but I'm going to take the JACLYN Hill JH05 brush, which is called the Perfect Contour Brush. So, JACLYN made this brush specifically for contouring. Now, I feel it's a little too dense for contour, but let's try it out. Now we're going to dip in here, and I'm going to start kind of contouring / bronzing. Now I love this formula of bronzer because you can build this up, but I feel like with such a stiff brush, you don't have to. Yeah, see right there how it's kind of just depositing the color. Just going in with the JH07 with no product on it and just kind of going on top of that to diffuse that line. We're going to go on the other side. Normally for contouring, I would use like a fluffier kind of brush, like maybe even something like this. So this is the JH06 brush, which she says is my everything brush. So it's not really giving me an example of what to use this for. So I'm actually just going to go in and use this for my bronzer. See, yeah, this is more of a brush I would use. Something fluffier to really distribute that color instead of it trying to grab. It's kind of like right in here or right here is where I can see it the most. I don't know if that picks up on camera or not. So I don't know if I would use this for contour. I would have to figure out what else to use this for, and I'll get back to y'all. So I'm going to contour my nose, and for that I'm going to take the JH30 brush, which JACLYN describes as the Beast Mode Blender brush, but I feel like this is fluffy enough and big enough that it'd be perfect for a nose contour. Yeah, see, this is like perfect for a nose contour. Ooh, yes, look at that nose contour. That is amazing. So JH30 definitely use for your nose contour. I mean, you could Yeah, if you want just like a big fluffy crease brush, you can definitely use it for that. But for me personally, I will stick to using it as my nose contour brush. I feel like we have baked enough. So I'm going to show you the way I would use the JH07 brush. So I wouldn't normally use it for packing on the powder under the eye. I would actually grab this brush and use it to flick away the bake under the eye. See, because I feel like you can get it right under the eye, so you can really flick that out and not move any of the product underneath. See, that's what I would use it for. That leads me to our next step, which for me would be blush. This is the Wanderlust blush by Buxom, and I have the shade Dolly. So that leads us to the JH04 brush, which JACLYN describes as a blush brush. So we're going to use it as such. So I'm gonna grab a little bit. Ooh, this smells like coconut. It smells like very beachy. Love that. Doesn't seem to be a very, oh no, lying. So I was gonna say this is not a very pigmented blush, which I enjoy. But it actually has a lot of pigment to it, which is also fine. Ooh, yeah, that has a lot of color. So, yeah, that has a lot of color. So I'm just gonna take our what do you call? Our JH03 brush and just go on top of that. Since we used this brush for contouring, which is the JH05, for all over bronzing, I'm actually going to take this. Now, this brush is the JH02. This I love for just all over bronzer, and JACLYN does describe it as just a bronzer brush, and that's exactly what I would use this for. This is amazing for just grabbing your like warm bronzer. So right now I'm going to use MAC Give Me Sun, and just bronzing all over the face. So it grabs the pigment, and then you just bronze your entire existence with this. I love this brush so much. It's so fluffy, but it's real hair. Or are these real hair? I think they are real hair. Since it's real hair, it grabs the pigment really well and really kind of just blends it out. Now, like the way I like to use it is I like to grab it flat and just hug my cheekbone with it. But you can always turn it to the side where it's a little bit wider and get more surface area that way. Love this brush. Now, in one of the final steps of my complexion, I'm going to go, of course, into highlighter. Now, I feel like it would be only fitting if we use JACLYN Hill's old favorite or old collaboration, Champagne Pop. Now, this is Champagne Pop in the new limited edition packaging, but nonetheless, Champagne Pop. And for that, we're going to take the JACLYN Hill JH09 brush, which JACLYN Hill describes as the Glow Baby Glow brush. So obviously she intended this for highlighter. Now this is exactly like the Morphe 510 brush. So if you have that, then you'll have this brush, except with the white handle. So I loaded that up, and now we're just going to, now, this brush has been, of course, a favorite among the community for highlighter because it's fluffy but blends out the highlighter so evenly. And now we're glowing. Love this highlighter. Pro tip, grab some cotton balls and put it into your Becca highlighters. That way you can avoid shattering them. Alright, so now we have used all of the complexion face brushes. Now it's time to move on to the eyes. So for the complexion category, we had We had 9 brushes for the complexion category, 10 if you count the JH30 that I used for nose contour, which I am. And we're going to move on to the eye brushes. So in the eye brushes we have 13 eye brushes to use today. For eyes today, I thought it'd be fun to use the Morphe 35V palette. I just got this, and she is beautiful, as you can see. So I think we can just make a quick and easy eye look using like these over here. Maybe dip into one of these? I don't know. We'll see. Let's use this palette. So of course we're going to prime the eyelids first, and I'm going to use the Urban Decay Primer Potion. This is the anti-aging formula. And we're going to prime the eyelids. So of course you can just use your finger to tap this out, but I'm just going to grab into our old friend JH08 brush and just quickly buff this out. Oh yeah, that took care of that in seconds. Now I have never used this Morphe palette before, so I don't know if it has a lot of fallout. So I'm actually going to go into my CoverFX Perfect Setting Powder in Translucent Light and bake my under eye with this so I can catch any fallout. Alright, now we are baking. So first, out of all the brushes, I'm going to grab the JH35 brush, which is JACLYN Hill's Upper Crease Brush. So Morphe does have shade names now on their little plastic that it comes with. So I'm tapping into the shade Wild Thing. Oh yeah, that's pretty. Morphe palettes don't have a mirror on them, and I always try to do that. So I'm gonna take that color Wild Thing and put that into... Actually, let me scoot you guys in. Alright, now we are zoomed in. I'm taking that color and I'm going to place that into my upper crease, just like the brush told me to do. I'm first going to use this brush to kind of pack on the color. Since it's a little skinnier, I can really get into my crease and kind of just pack on that color where I want it. So again, just building that color. Then I'm going to grab the JH31 brush, which JACLYN describes as Fluffy Blender. I'm going to dip into this color right here, which is called Tryst. Okay. I'm going to take the color Tryst and I'm going to go on top of the color Wild Thing to further blend things out. Alright, now we have successfully blended those two colors together. I'm going to take the JH32 brush with no color on it. JACLYN describes this as the transition blender brush. Now, I don't know about all that, but I'm going to take this with no product on it and just go on top of that. Ooh, this is way fluffier. Yeah, so I'm just going to go on top of those two colors and really buff them out. So I'm kind of just like scratching at the edges with the JH32 brush just to get those edges blended. Ooh, yeah, I love the way that's working. I'm going to take the JH33 brush, which is the Universal Blender brush. With this brush, I'm going to dip into this color right here. It's called Addicted. With that, I'm going to deepen up. Oh, that has a lot more fallout. With that, I'm going to deepen out the outer V. Right in here. Ooh, that has a lot of color. Kind of just placing the color first. JH31 brush, I'm going to dip back into Tryst and blend that out. I'm going to go back and forth with the shade Tryst and Addicted until I get the opacity that I want and the blend that I want. Going back into JH32 that has no color on it and just blending the edges of that, kind of marrying the two colors together. I'm going to grab the JH40 brush, and this is described as the precise blender. So with that, I'm going to grab Addicted and really precisely blend that into my lash line. Now I'm doing this to build the color precisely where I want it without having to go into my crease too much, where the other two colors are blended. I'm going to grab this brush right here, which is the JH34 brush, which JACLYN describes as the Carve Your Crease brush. So this is a little bit more of a pointed blender. Really get right in the crease to really build that color up. Build the color up and blend at the same time, because this is really blending. Now I'm keeping that away from the shade Addicted, because I feel like I've built that up enough the way I want it. Again, going back with the JH32 brush, the one that has no pigment on it, and blending everything once again. We have no harsh lines. For the lid, I'm going to grab this shade right here. That shade is called Tell Me More, and I'm going to grab it on the JACLYN Hill 41 brush, which is like a flat, it's real hair, so I don't know how this is going to go. All over lid brush. Now, normally I would use a synthetic brush for this, but let's just go in. First I'm going to dip in without wetting the brush, and if I need to wet the brush, I will. Oh, brush is fully colored. I'm going to go in and put that all over the lid. Ooh, that is super creamy. So actually, I think this brush, for it being real hair, really applied that super well. Gonna go back into the JH40 brush, the Precise Blender, go into Addicted, and marry those two colors together. So I don't think that color by itself pops enough, so I'm going to grab the color next to it. This one right here. This shade right here is called Heartbreaker, and I'm just going to flip the other side of the JH41 brush and just grab a little bit of, oop, no, this one's a lot drier. This one's a lot drier in texture, but I'm just going to pick up a little bit on the brush and just hit right in the middle. There we go. Just to bring some shine in. Grabbing into the JH31 brush, the little detail blender, going back into Trist and blending out the edges. I'm going to take this small little pencil brush. This is the JH38, which JACLYN describes as the perfect pencil brush. I'm going to grab the shade Trist on that and start smoking out my lash line. I'm going to smoke from the inner to about right here. So now I'm going to take the JH37 brush, which JACLYN describes as the Buffer Blender brush. So I'm assuming this is for the lower lash line since it's so small. I'm going to use that to grab the shade Addicted to further smoke out my lash line. So this brush is really good for just when you want to really bring down that smokiness. After all this, I need some inner corner highlight, so I'm going to grab into the lightest shade, which is called Knockout. I'm just going to grab a little bit. Now with the theme of these shadows, I don't feel like I have to wet this one. Normally I would. Oh, oh my god. Yeah, no, don't have to wet that. Yeah, don't have to wet that at all. Ooh, yeah, that is really pretty. So I'm going to now use the JH43 brush. I'm going to dip into this black color right here. I'm going to use this brush to stamp this black color right in my lash line. This is going to make putting my false lashes on so much easier. And it's going to make my eye look really smoky without having to use a lot of liner on top. So this is what I kind of came up with the eye. Now I just need to throw on some liner, a lash, do my brows, and I'm going to do that all off camera and I will be right back. Alright, so here we are with the eye look all completed. Now guys, we're down to the very last brush. I cannot believe we are here, but 23 brushes later and we are on to the 24th, which is the JH42 brush, which JACLYN Hill describes as the brow bone highlight brush. I'm going to dig back into the champagne pop we used earlier and literally highlight my brow bone. Wow. Okay, so this brush definitely is made for this because it just literally tucks that brow bone highlight so perfectly. And you can, so I kind of just went in like flat and then traced my brow bone and it worked perfectly. But you can even kind of just lay it down and feed it through. Ooh, yes, brow bone, come through. I'm even gonna take a little bit and hit. Ooh, yes. And I'm gonna hit just the tip of the nose. I'll even go. Oh yeah. So I feel like this is perfect for precision highlighting. Of course you can't go on the cheekbone and, you know, blend it out that way, but for the brow bone, for the nose, even the cupid's bow, so perfectly placed like that. The lashes that I have on were actually gifted to me. They're called Lash Dreams in the style Sweetheart, I'm guessing. But these are super comfortable. I love the band. And these like went on so easily. They are bigger lashes, but not too big. So if you're scared of lashes, get something like this. For lips, I'm going to go into the ColourPop So Juicy tubes. I love these. This is a plumping gloss. And it definitely feels that way, but it's in those squeeze tube applicators. Ugh, I love these lip glosses. I love this kind of lip gloss because it just makes your lips super juicy, super glossy. And I feel like that's what this look needs. I'm just going to go in with some MAC Fix Plus here and kind of set the face. I actually have the lavender scented one too, so why not? Oh my god. So remember when I said we're on the last brush? I was just kidding because we still have this big guy. So this big guy is the JH01 brush. Now, this is just described as a powder brush, but this is massive. So after my setting spray, just to kind of go in and make sure everything is nice and blended. So I'm not using a lot of pressure. I'm just using a very light hand in order to kind of just swirl any of the harshness. I know Marc Jacobs used to have a bronzer brush like this, but I don't know. I think you can definitely bronze with this if you wanted to, but I'm more just like this brush right here, like all the way for bronzer. Like, I love this. Now that we have successfully swirled everything together, kind of just like an all-over blend brush. I do think I need a little bit of highlight. And there we go, guys. 24 brushes later, we have successfully used the entire kit. Now, the best part about this is, like I said, the case. Like, this is heavy duty. This is not cheap feeling. This is sturdy. And look at it. It is so glittery, so sparkly. I live for this collection. If you want to get yours, I'll link the Morphe website where I bought mine off. And I will definitely link JACLYN's video as well. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, share. Please, please, please do all the things necessary. Of course, I will link down everything that I used on my face today, including everything that I used on the eyes, setting spray, anything else that you may be interested in. I have a lot of videos coming up soon, so please have your notifications on. Keep an eye out for any future videos, and I will see you guys on the next one. Bye, guys!